There's a couple different ways to determine ballpark pricing. The question we get all the time is square footage costs. Per square foot pricing can be all over the board and pretty vague and misleading sometimes. There's gonna be a lot of things that go into that home that aren't gonna affect the square footage of the home, but are gonna affect certainly the final end cost of the home. So items like decks and covered porches, screen porches, the size of the garage or whether there's no garage at all are gonna all affect the final cost and would never touch the square footage. The number of stories in that home, a single story home is probably going to be your most expensive per square foot cost because everything is on one floor. You have a bigger footprint. And then your story and a half home, lofted style home is going to be a little bit more expensive than a completely stacked 2-story home. Then finishing off the lower level, that's going to bring your per square foot cost down as well. So there's a lot of things that are going to go into that home that affect the final cost of the home, but you're not touching square footage. The shape of the home, there's more corners, the more complex it is, it's going to raise that cost. And then the overall size. Sometimes as you get into a bigger home, it actually brings that per square foot cost down because you have much more open space. And then as you get, vice versa, as you get smaller with that home, everything is compacted into a smaller footprint and a smaller square footage. So that per square foot cost seems to go up. So, what we like to do here at Golden Eagle is because we have such a complete package is that we'd like to develop a package cost for you. And then typically what we'll do is depending on where you're building in the country, is put a multiplier on top of that. And so now all those amenities and items are taken into account into that package cost. And we feel it becomes a much more accurate ballpark price right from the beginning is doing a package cost from that.
For sure.
That plan.
So what we're really trying to say is find a plan that fits what you're looking for, right? Don't just call up and say, I want 2,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, open concept. Because that doesn't really give us
99% of our plans.
Yeah, one, that's a lot of our plans, right? Two,
right.
That doesn't tell us, are we doing 1 bedroom on the first floor and 2 bedrooms in a basement? Therefore, smaller footprint, that house is going to have a different price than, like you said, am I doing master on the first floor and a story and a half where now to get the 2 bedrooms upstairs, I'm adding dormers, stuff like that to get the space up there. So now that's going to have a totally different price per square foot than what we were dealing with, on
Definitely.
one floor at the lower level. And really, we're going to ask a bunch of questions too, as far as with that lower level, are we doing a walkout basement? That's going to have a different price point than a standard basement, right? What style of home are we going for? On our website, people are going to see, a quarter log home, exposed beam home, all the way up to an ultra custom timber home, right? So to establish a ballpark, we want to first say, are you looking for a lot of timber trusses, elaborate, ornate-looking trusses up in there, if that's the style of home you want? Or are you more of the simple exposed beam system? Same home, we could do very similar home, just different level of amenities within that home, and that's going to have a huge impact on what that cost is going to be, right? So to just, I agree with you 100%, to just throw a per square foot number out there is so misleading and really doesn't get customers an accurate cost, in our opinion.
Right. Yeah. So, kind of recap is really, find a plan that's close. It's certainly not going to be the plan that we're going to end up building. We're going to make changes to that plan down the road, is what I tell people. But, I say the perfect plan isn't out there. Everybody has their own wants and their own needs. And that's typically why you're building a new home, is you get to build it the way you want. It's not built for the previous homeowner. So, find a plan that's close that we can use as a starting point to base some of that ballpark pricing on.
Sure. And customers can even send us a sketch. If they've sketched something up, maybe they didn't find something on our website and they sketched up their own plan, they can send that in, but it still helps us establish that ballpark more accurately than just kind of going over the wants list, if you will, right? Because then we can actually see kind of layouts of what they're thinking. And during that ballpark phase, we're going to ask a series of questions as far as, wall heights. Do you want 8, 9, 10, 12 foot, ceilings? Level of finishes that we already discussed. Are you the kind of person that thinks you're going to want the highest end of cabinetry, or maybe you're okay with, more standardized?
That's a good question, is just trying to figure out what level amenities and what direction that you want to go with the home. If you want, like you said, the more elaborate trusses in our ultra custom timber package, or you want more of the simplified trusses that you see in our exposed beam package. All those are going to play a huge factor in the final end cost of that home.
I know you go into detail too. We go as far as floor systems. Are you thinking
Yeah.
I-joist floor trusses? We're going to look at the specific model and say what kind of roof system is it most likely going to need. Those are costs that a lot of customers don't even realize come into play.
Yeah,
right?
kind of the things hidden. You don't see the structure of the home. Right?
Sure,
Yeah.
but all that's going to impact the cost of the overall price too, you know. So
Windows too, that's a big one too. I mean, just because you're spending more on a window doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Some of those good energy efficient windows are on the lower cost of the side, the lower end of that spectrum.
So once we've established that ballpark, now we can really know how much that house is going to cost, and we're going to know, one, does it fit in the budget? If so, we can move forward our second phase, which is the plan service agreement.
Service,
we
yeah.
start designing it. Two, we're going to establish if it maybe doesn't fit in the budget that the customer wants to be in, but at least now we know it ahead of designing the home, right? So now we can look at it from a budget perspective and a ballpark cost and say, okay, where do we need to scale back? Do we need to scale back on just some amenities? We're close, just not quite there. Or do we just need to look at a whole different floor plan, right? Maybe somebody
reducing the size or shape of the home again. Yeah, right. Yep. I guess there always is that third option too, is putting some sweat equity in the home. We got a lot of clients. We got the new DIY video series out, and a lot of clients are doing some of the work themselves, putting some sweat equity into the house too. So that might be a way to reduce some of the costs as well if we need to.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, I think, Justin. So really, if you're thinking about building in the next year and a half, I would encourage you to pick up the phone, give Golden Eagle a call, talk to Justin, myself, or any of the other sales reps here, and go through that phase. Find that plan that fits what you're looking for, and let's start that ballpark process with you and start seeing if the budget comes into where you need it to be.